suspicion, why torture me? Every time you call me and tell me we should meet tomorrow, I can't help but think that you're meeting someone else too.
Hello, sir.
Hello there.
Are you right to put that remote thing down on the floor? Where it is secure. Okay, fair enough.
No, it will do. Well,
Parts 4 and 5 of the National Security Act 2023. We believe you're currently breaching, okay, and for that you're going to be arrested, okay? So you do not have to say anything but a mail in your defence if you do not mention one question.
I'm going to take that from you. Thank you.
Do say, maybe give it a
That was our drone team. I think they were quite interested in this setup as well. So he's like, loads of pictures in situ. I'm pretty certain that's not recording.
No, I don't think it's.
'Cause
That's a screen.
Yeah,
there.
and it should have either a light on. There's a switch on the side there, and there is like another camera this side as well. So it goes front and back.
Yeah, I think this would be the back that you would.
I was now arrested and sat in the car in handcuffs. This Faye carried on wrapping up and packed my tripod away and da-da-da. We then had to go to custody. I assumed that custody would be quite quiet on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock, but it wasn't. They couldn't fit me in. So they ended up taking me to this Keynsham, which is, I don't know, 9-10 miles away, something like that. So we rocked up there. Prior to that, she then checked my sunglasses again. I think that the security guard had put a bee in a bonnet, so she checked my sunglasses again to make sure that they weren't recording. I'm not going to say that, you know, they were nasty or they treated me badly. You know, in fact, it was what shocked me in a way was just the casual or the perfunctory way that they just dealt with putting somebody. It was, you know, these people swear an oath to protect my rights. It didn't seem to bother them that they could possibly trample in my rights. We went through to Keynsham, and I thought to myself, well, I'm aware that the custody sergeant has to do, some checks. He has to be sort of diligent in him submitting somebody to a cell. In fact, one of my favourite videos is I Spy Audits, and he had he went to pay for his petrol with, I think, a £20 coin, which they wouldn't accept, so they phoned the police. And then this couple of painted strumpets turned up and gave him a bit of shit and took him into custody. And then when he got to custody, the sergeant just wouldn't admit him to the cells. He just said, you know, this guy is not, in his opinion, is not committed an offence. And he had to let him go, which was a little bit embarrassing. I explained about the document, about that was relevant to journalistic freedoms and the way that it had been released, on the date that it was released and why it was released and so on. And it just didn't faze him. He just said, yeah, I'll put a note of it on here. And he did. So I went off to my cell. That was probably around about 11 a.m. I had some water, but I didn't have anything to eat. And they checked up on me every half hour, offered me food and drinks and so on, but I declined. Around about 7:30, when He did the usual round and opened up the cell and said, "Are you okay?" And that makes sure I'd not hung myself. I just said to him, "Listen, what is happening? You know, I was just curious, as in I'm spending the night in the cells, and you know what's happening." And he said to me, "Well, they're just looking for your car now." And I sort of said, "Oh, for God's sake, how ridiculous! You know, you're searching for somebody's car because he was photographing. This is just crazy." So he said to me, "Well, why don't you just tell me where it is, and we'll have a look at it, and you know, it will speed things up." So I just said, "No, sod it. You earn your money. You find it." Anyway, they never found it. So around about 8:30, I was interviewed by two women from CID, and you know what? They were great with me. I didn't do a no comment. I didn't want a solicitor. And one of the first questions they asked was about the document that I quoted when I went to the custody sergeant. I said, I don't like the way that that the police behave. I don't like the way that you handle Section 44 and abused it. I don't like the way that you handle Section 43 and you abuse that and you pay out money. And I said, and now you've got this new bit of legislation which you are going to abuse again. I said, and the fact that they have given you a blueprint of how to behave and not get arrested outside of a prohibited site, and that's been completely ignored. And what I did was I actually quoted it to her and said, look, as long as I'm there and there are no photography signs and I'm doing it for journalistic reasons, I said, what's the problem? Well, she said, well, one of the police officers have informed us that there are no photography signs outside. And you know, and that stunned me a little bit because I'd looked, I couldn't see any. I'd checked out. The reason I went up to the prohibited sign, the prohibited site sign, was so I could purposely look for no photography signs. I never saw one. Which officer do you think that was that told the CID that there were no photography signs there? She then went through the, do I belong to any organisations? You know, obviously she means sort of the pro-Palestine lot. And I said, no, I'm not in any political group. I do believe that we should be fighting for our rights for PINAC, which is photography is not a crime. And she seemed okay with that. I get the feeling that after about the first 5 minutes, the pair of women that were interviewing me, I just got the feeling that they thought, what are we doing here? What, this is crazy. And I can't speak for them, but the way that they acted towards me and the way that they then managed to get my phone back, which if I'd have been a Russian spy or you know, any foreign actor, why would they give me my phone back? The rest of the stuff, I don't think they could release as easy. They did have to, they had to go through a process. But my phone, they give back to me. And then they also gave me a lift. I asked them to take me to Lidl because I was hungry, and they did. I left something in the car, and she came back to Lidl to make sure I had it. And then she left me. And that was it. So I had bail conditions, which said that I couldn't go near Elbit Systems. So I couldn't even go and check out if there were no photography signs. I wasn't allowed to go within 500 meters of it. I wasn't allowed to contact anybody from Elbit Systems, etc., etc. And that was bail till, I think, February, second week of February, I think it was. So on the 22nd of December, I received a letter saying that there would be no further action, and you have two options there. I think one is that they feel they do have a case but have not pursued it because it's not in the public interest, or they say that they do not have enough evidence to charge. That was going to be the end of the shit show for the time being. And I know that I could get on with the civil claim. So as soon as I got the no further action email, I then put a request in for the footage and any transcripts and so on and so forth. And that will be interesting to see what what part the security guy and the security line manager played on the advice to them to arrest. That will be, I'm quite curious about all that. So the next thing was for me to go and pick up my equipment. I went down to pick it up and I met another young lady there from CID. The pair of us were quite bemused by the fact that when the evidence bags were put on the table, we noticed that there's two different names on them. One of them was mine and one of them wasn't mine. Yeah, it was my gear in the bags. And then when we opened the bag, the contents of the bag were not as described on the bag. So, you know, the amount and what was in there was completely different. So it was just, what on earth? Just to let you know where it parks, my vehicle, the vehicle that the police couldn't find. It's here in this car park, and here is the police station. Quite disturbingly, I was contacted by a photographer who suffered the same fate as myself. But instead of them just locking him up for a period of time, which I think was 16 hours, they then went to his house and they ransacked his house. In a similarity was that he also had some type of recording device that was going, and they weren't aware of it. But he's considering his options now. That was pretty frightening for him, I imagine. I know there's a lot of whinges out there about the sound on my gear. And I know it's my fault, and I've done nothing about it. But I've had a guy that's advised me what mics to get, which he'll do. Now, the reason the sound is really bad on this next clip is because I didn't really intend to have this encounter. The idea was to put a bit of pad into this particular second part. I just wanted some video of Patchway Station. So the idea was to come here, get a few people coming out, maybe get a shot of what I thought was the control room, and maybe see some of the desks and the monitors and people knocking around and so on. But as I rocked up and started filming, two guys appeared, who lovely guys. Hopefully they're now subscribers. I've muted what they had to say for me because they said some things that I don't know whether they were okay with being broadcasted. So I've just muted what they've said. But nice to meet you guys. And then as we're talking, Copper turns up in his car. So what I've done is I've included this now. But don't whinge at me for including it because the sound is awful. If you're going to whinge, just scroll on. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.
Okay, keep doing what you do. Okay. See you, mate. Do you have time? Woo.
Hi mate, how's it going?
Okay, good.
Filming?
Yeah.
I'll be completely straight up with you. We get a call in, say someone's got a drone outside the station, come and chat to you.
Yeah.
Obviously you're in a public area. Are you taking flight or leaving it on the tripod?
No, leaving it.
Is it? Fair enough. Can I ask the purpose of why you recorded?
looking over these.
Yeah, 3713. Also got my body camera on.
Good man. Bloody hell.
I've seen all the videos. There's my warrant card. I'm from this station just there.
Yeah.
Good day?
Yeah.
Nice. Filming cars coming in and out, or what's
Yeah.
is it? Fair enough.
Anything you can see.
Yeah. I know it's lads with you, or just a bit interested.
Is this an investigation?
No, well, purely having conversation. No, you're well within your rights to be here, aren't you? You know that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, fair enough. If there's anything more.
Well, I think we're done, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good day, me old
And
mate.
you.
Yeah.
Will you upload this anywhere? Just out of curiosity? Or?
Yeah.
Is it? Are you YouTube, TikTok? Yeah.
You just can't help yourself, these guys.
I want to know if I'm going to be on later.
And it won't be like a couple of weeks. Just have a look for Patchway.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
So what? Where are all the personal cars?
Personal cars. You can obviously see from here, can't you? Obviously, we've got our where our fleet lie.
It's a big station, isn't it? A lot
yeah.
going on there.
We've obviously got our 3 main stations. I don't know if you know Pager and Ridley, and then obviously this one.
So what goes on here? Is that your control centre there?
Look, so control centre is in here.
Oh right.
This is where we obviously respond out of.
I thought that was a control room.
No.
Control room of a bigger place, is it? It's a control room of a bigger place.
I've not been there myself personally, but yeah, it's completely separate. This is purely our response office, custody unit, things like that. If you go onto our website, it obviously lists all of the separate different units and stuff, all their phone numbers to contact them. But
You know what I don't get is this is not Gloucester here, is it?
no,
So
South Gloucester.
So it's the Avon and Somerset.
Yeah.
So why is it that have you got CID that come from Gloucester? Are you involved with Gloucestershire?
I'm response, so I don't have much to do with in-force stuff. However, I'd imagine if the investigation department's in Gloucester have got a job, we can grant them access to the building, things like that. If potentially say we've arrested someone on behalf of Gloucester, they might come and do the interview in our custody units.
Okay.
Or transfer them back to their force. Yeah. So
Well, this is South Gloucester.
this
We're
is
in South Gloucester now,
yeah.
but it's the Avon and Somerset Police.
Yes. Yeah. So I think we sort of cover up to Charfield,
Okay.
and then my knowledge of those sort of like little village county areas is a bit sparse. But so Thornbury, Charfield, and then just past the border, which is something like past Swansbury up. That's where it then becomes Gloucestershire's stuff.
You called in one of your guys for.
I came in on my control room. I'm driving back to the station to write up a report anyway, so I said I'll come and have a chat.
Like the drone. Is that excuse me, Patchway Police Station?
Yes.
How do you get in there?
I'll just use that.
Just do something wrong.
Well,
No.
that's not the advice I would give. Yeah, so if you cross over here, you have to cross over and go follow the lights. Yeah, that's front
Right,
office.
thank you.
No worries, have a good day.
Like the drone.
Is it not working? Is that why you got it on the tripod? Or just a good camera?
It's good optics on it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to fly it here because of the implications.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've got a smaller one, but I don't want to go over today. I'll come back and do that.
When I'm off duty. No, that was a joke, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, yeah, fair enough.
Have you had any drone flies here?
No, to be honest, I've never had much to do with drone flies. I know obviously you need your flyer's ID, your operator ID to do with certain different.
To fly?
Yeah. And
You don't need it for that. Stick it up in the tripod.
It's to do with the size. No, obviously this is flying.
It's all changed on the first of January.
To be honest, I'm not well read up on all of that side of stuff, so I'd have to. I don't know all that much about it. But obviously we've got our drone operators, haven't we? So
Yeah.
they know.
Do you know what I find though with the drone operators is that, you know, even though they are drone operators, they appear slightly detached from the lower end of the drones. You know, they've got the big matrices and so on. And then when it comes to the small stuff, legislation-wise, you're not too up on it, and I can understand that because they are using the biggies all the time.
Yeah, I think where it comes into using them in terms of business, because we would be using it rather than being personal use for like. So obviously you can fly a small drone, can't you, with just a flyer's ID without any of the operator stuff?
No, you need an operator's ID, but now you also need a flyer ID from the 1st of January.
I'm not going to comment anymore because I don't know enough to give
It's
good
just,
advice.
it changes so often that it's, you know, it's settling. It's all in flux and it's starting to settle.
They're still quite new though, aren't they?
I had one 2016. Which is,
that's relatively new for legislation, isn't it?
Still in bloody school work, yeah, then.
I won't understand. But I mean, in terms of legislation, it takes a lot longer and stuff to do.
Of course. In fact, I think it's a minefield for a lot of the police that come after drones, because they don't know. They talk to somebody on the phone and they're saying, well, what type is it? And what's you doing with it? And where are you? And stuff. You know.
And to be honest, on frontline policing, when you're dealing with shop thefts, fights, disorders, it's so much trouble.
Yeah.
Drone legislation itself is such a huge
You know what they say, we are all ignorant, just in different subjects.
I'll leave you to it then. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, but am I able to take your name and details, or can I guess the answer to that question?
Yeah, you can.
You can. Well, I can guess the answer. Or?
Yeah, you can guess the answer.
Nice one. Well,
What would you want it for, though?
Purely to record when I log, say I've come and spoke to you.
Right.
Run a check, because I'm in company with you, check you're not wanted, anything like that.
Do you not feel bad about that? Do you not feel bad about when you join the force?
Yeah.
You know, imagine your mum and dad were proud of you, and I don't think that you'd go home and go, tell you what I've done today. I've dealt with 10 members of the public, and none of them have committed any offence, but I managed to get their names and their date of birth, and because of that I've got their addresses. I now know what car they drive, and I've put it on something that anybody can look at in the force.
However,
do you not feel? I think I'd feel bad about that.
Obviously, we would only ever force someone to provide those details at the Kojia case. So if we haven't had a necessity or suspect them of offence, because obviously the alternative to that is we have to arrest them because we can't establish who they are. I don't suspect you of any offences, hence why I'm not pushing it anymore. I'll ask. Because again, I'll ask anyone I speak to. Anyone I speak to could be wanted on a warrant. And again, you seem like a good guy, but for all I know, you put on a great act and you could be wanted for murder somewhere else. You know, you never know who you're dealing with or who you're talking to.
Well, let me correct you on that though.
Go on.
When you said you can only get it through Kojia Post.
Well, there's other legislation as well. Yeah.
Well, you can also get it if you're dealing with a vulnerable person or an elderly person or somebody that doesn't know the law. And then what happens is it tends to be like this weaselly trade-off. A lot of the police have this sort of these lines that they come out with, and it will say something like, "I'm PC Smith. What's your name?" As if that's a fair trade. Just PC Smith. I can tell you anything, you know. It's as if it's like a weaselly trade, I find, and I don't like that. Or what they'll do is, if they do a stop and search under section 1 of case, where you don't give your details, they will then say to you, "Do you want the search record?" "Well, I'll need your details," and that is completely wrong.
Yeah, no. So legally, that shouldn't be happening. To get a receipt, essentially the receipts we would give would have a police log number, and then you can go to the front office of the police station and request the details around that. You don't need to provide your name from any stop search unless you're being arrested or suspected of an offence. But yeah, obviously you're entitled to your own opinion and stuff like that. Obviously,
but you must agree that happens. So it's not an opinion, that is factual. That actually happens.
I can only comment on what I do as a police officer and what I see my colleagues doing. So.
Well, hopefully you stand up to the bad copies as well, because this is why we end up with Cousins and Carrick and all the baddies.
No, I understand. We all act on the code of ethics, don't we? So if you see anything that's inappropriate, no, not at all. That's not what I was going to say.
And you've not got a blue line badge on, so nice one. Yeah.
Nice one.
Okay.
Well, I will leave you to it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll let our control room know, so I can't imagine anyone else will come and stop, but be prepared. Someone else might see you and might not have had the update and come and chat to you. But
can I take your details before you go?
Yeah, it's 3713.
Name, date of birth.
Got that. Have a good day.